Hello, my ladies and pretty gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Look What's Happening in the Spirit Realm with yours truly, Light. Today, I have a particular topic regarding the beginnings. I want to call it the beginnings because it's what you are made of. It is more often than not, we want to believe that there is a karmic situation, there's an outside source that's playing with our relationships with people, that's sabotaging us. But we genuinely fail to realize how far we have come, how far we have introspected, and how much of ourselves we are freely willing to accept, how much of spirit we are willing to entertain, and how we genuinely lead our lives. We're not fully perceiving that from the perspective of the people that we choose to connect with. And more often than not, when we feel like they are hurting us, we are hurting them as well, but in ways we do not expect to hurt them. Now, as you can see by the title, it could be a little bit crass, the idea of being some sort of embarrassing source for people in your life where they would want to have you around, but in many ways it's as a little secret, or they punish themselves. And you, more often than not, speaking about this, being so forward, being so forthcoming and honest, and trusting your intuition to the extent where you would actually take serious life-changing action based on it, you don't understand the perception that perhaps other people might have, openly parading you in their lives, so to speak. Because you have to know there is a lot hanging in the balance for people who have perhaps at one point or another, I'm just looking at a bird, my bad, I'm just scattered today. What was I talking about? For people who, my goodness, who have based their life on a decision that they have made. We have been through this in this channel a while ago regarding where their priorities reside, what is more valuable to them in terms of how they choose to live their lives. So you may have chosen a long time ago, perhaps not even of your own will to some extent, to entertain and live your life, to be the crazy person instead of the fool, to have the capacity to believe something totally and completely one day, and also the same capacity to remove yourself from that belief and unlearn it and learn another one. That is a capability that's actually not common. I will say that with a very sharp tone because, trust me, it is not common. And you may have that. And for the most part, that could fuel the flames of this quote-unquote crazy we're going to talk about. And I will completely accentuate this topic in the blog, which is pinned in the comment sections, which will be available shortly after this video is uploaded. But moving ahead, you may not understand or see yourself from the perspective that you could be a source of uncomfortable conversations. You could be a source of dilemma, like a cognitive dissonance of a sort in people's lives. Like, how can they be associated with you and then go about their lives and, I don't know, do what they do with the 3D belief system and genuinely going by that rule book? How do those two realities mesh? This is where you stand. And more often than not, you might take things personally, like, what is wrong with me? We've been through this. Watch the video that I have uploaded previously from this one. It is not that. It is not that. Usually, it's really not that. It's the fact that you might be hurting people because you might be trying to pull them out of their quote-unquote comfort zone. That could look different depending on the people that we're talking about here. But the depth of the issue I really want to get to is not in terms of comfort zone, like let's go skydiving. No. In terms of an internal philosophy that people hold with themselves, like what parts of themselves they choose to express and what parts of themselves they choose to doubt. These little, like, intricate crevices of humanity, you bring those things to question, and they've been previously fine with the way things were. Why should I upheave my life for you? You being in my life, I have to upheave my beliefs. And that's not something that I have time or capacity or the desire to do. Sometimes that is why people are moving away from you. You need to see it from a perspective that could sometimes be considered three-dimensional. Because not everybody is willing. There's a leaf blowing in the wind. I am so sorry. It's so distracting. Coffee time. Huh? What? Coffee, drink water? I can't hear you. I'm just kidding. It's not even funny. I should probably be drinking more water than coffee. But anyway, let's move on. There is an element of, this is what I consider crazy, right? It's not a person who's willing to harm people to get what they want. But more often than not, you will be misinterpreted like that. This is a very nook and cranny point I really want to drive home today. It is not about hurting people or being batshit insane, running naked past the highway, even though there is a time and place for that. It is not about that. It's about this audacity sometimes to even believe in random prophecies, to believe in the synchronicity that led you into people's lives, to believe in the divine knowledge, the knowing that you carried into a connection or carried into a project, to believe in the unseen, so much so that your actions genuinely do mirror that belief. That is what I consider quote unquote crazy from a three-dimensional perspective. Because more often than not, right, people will talk the talk of fate, belief, my intuition shall lead me. But when it comes to the parts of them where they have to really genuinely get rid of or re-investigate these belief systems that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, that's where they drop you like a hot potato. And which brings me back to my middle point here. The whole why you? Because more often than not, people think you are acting. You're trying to be special. You're trying to make yourself into something that you're not. That you're trying to look into reasons that where reason shan't be. You are trying to be too much. You're doing too much. You're thinking too much. You're being a bit too dramatic. It's always that. Because you're not approaching things from the perspective that you think people are witnessing you approaching it. No, you're approaching things from a perspective of, as I would like to call it, it's a light code language. It's like, it's not something that has been confirmed to you in terms of everyone else believes what you believe. It's something that has been unraveled to you in whatever fashion spirit speaks to you, right? And that knowledge, you trusting in that, moving in that knowledge, you are going to appear to people like there is an ulterior motive that you have. Like, how does this person know this truth that I didn't tell them, they didn't tell them? Or how does this person believe and act towards me as though they know me when we just met? Like, things like this, right? That might be for you normal. Perhaps you're a transient. Perhaps this is what spirit uses you for. However the case might be for you particularly. This isn't something that people genuinely trust to throw all their eggs into the basket in terms of making a long-lasting commitment with said individual who I just described to be considered quote-unquote crazy. It's an unknown territory. Never mind the fact that you are unexplainable. There is no category to put you in, and most people are like that. Don't be mistaken. Most people are like that. It's just the choices we've made. We've made choices to operate by the book or to be the person who's considered crazy than to be the fool, right? What's the saying? It's easier to fool a person than to tell them that they've been fooled or to convince them that they have been fooled. You are the fool. You know how the fool in the tarot deck, right, does not really belong to any of the major arcanas, but it shows up in all the major arcanas and all the cards. The fool is there, but not there at all. The fool is everywhere. The fool is not even a part of the conversation, but is the start of the conversation. My love, that is you. That is you. And when I say you do change people's life philosophies, and that is like a domino effect, which leads me back to the point of why you. Why do people seem to crawl back to you? Why do people seem to have a realization of you long after the fact of having walked away from you with all the certainty? Oh God, have mercy on you, because they walk away with certainty like, oh damn, this person is fucked up, crazy. Or this person is definitely not something I want to deal with right now. What the hell is this even? But they always seem to take a second gander. They're like, what was this person saying? Because more often than not, this audacity, this craziness, this to believe what the divine is telling you and act upon it, let alone tell people, by the way, you shall have a child from Roberto. You will meet him when you're in Thailand eating street food. Literally, you sound crazy because you're downloading information from a source that's not bound by time. So when you tell these people, sometimes these are not people that should be coming into your life for a permanent connection. These are people that you're just passing through by. And when you let them know this, they're left feeling like, what is this person up to, doing? What do I even do with this information? Because their 3D reality does not resonate with what you're saying. So they don't really know how to approach you. Because if you try to force it, right? If you try to force it, you end up being those people who is walking around the street dirty on a box. Trust me. If you force this awakening to be heard by the world, forget it. Forget it, especially those connections that are close to you. You become a source of embarrassment to some case, right? And that becomes something that they don't want to deal with. They feel ashamed at themselves, and they feel afraid because they don't know how much of them you are going to know and download before they can get to it. And it's like, you kind of scare me to some extent here. And I don't believe you. I feel like you're trying to manipulate me, get one over me. They don't know what box to place you in. This is where this quote unquote crazy ends up being a tool to make you be the person people ask, why do people come back to you trying to apologize? Or why do people act like nothing happened with you because they just want to be around you now? Or why do people come back and tell you, well, you are not really crazy, I actually believe this? Or they're just dead silent because things have happened in their lives that have really aligned with some things that you said, and they don't you become a very gray area. Let's just put it that way. So people don't want gray areas. They want to control situations. You are truly unpredictable. And not in the sense of too cool for school, unpredictable. No. It's in a sense of unpredictable even to yourself. That is the kind of unpredictability source can use, like almost outstretching its divine hand through you, like a, for lack of a better term, puppet, to basically flow and do what is least resistant. So you being able to speak on matters that perhaps should be kept secret in the eyes of the 3D, you believing and even perhaps speaking to people on topics that people would never be caught dead trying to even converse about. These are the things that we usually consider a karmic situation that come in between our connections with people. You are a slow burn. I've been through this. You are a slow burn. You are an enigma at first and then a slow burn. And You get to choose. This is why people ask, why you? Why you? Because you get the strongest hit to begin with, don't you? Because you come in hot and heavy, all open and genuine with people, and they think, oh God, this person has all kinds of motives, which you do not. Because in their mind, it's like, who's gonna be this honest without an ulterior motive? Like, who does this? Who comes out showing their cards? People don't do that, so they think you have something that you are hiding. But that's just a reflection of themselves. This is why people come back asking, well, why you? Why you? You seemingly full of yourself, you seemingly absolutely batshit crazy, you seemingly confused individual seemed to know my future actions, my current feelings, when all the while these people were dealing with 3D issues which are viable in their usual connection, but not with you. Not with you. And this is why you end up getting treated like a karmic, as the title suggests. You end up being treated like a karmic because they don't have a category for you and what you bring to the table. What you bring to the table is a house, meaning they need to move. They need to move. And not everyone is ready to do that. I'll leave this topic here because even if there are points that are remaining, you're going to find them in the blog below. Trust me. And with that being said, if you would enjoy a private personal reading, the email will be in the description box. So is my social media for poetry, and my book Sad Girl is also out. Definitely check everything out, and also have a lovely Sunday.